I saw a movie last week. And before the father of this girl died, he hurt her deeply. He was violent against the girl. And it affected the self-confidence, the self-esteem of the girl. But the father was now dead. So on this particular day, the girl took care of flowers and went to the tomb and placed this flower there. And said to him, Dad, now you are dead. You wounded me while you were still here. He said, I am not here because I love you. I'm just here to remind myself of the pain you inflicted on me. You were a violent man. I really felt like crying because even though the dad was long gone, the impact of what he did to this girl remained. They didn't tell us exactly what he did. They just said it was violent. That was what the girl said. I don't have doubts in my heart that somebody might need counseling. Somebody might need to see a spiritual counselor, a professional counselor to share your heart with. Don't continue journeying on in this pain, in this guilt. Let your heart be healed. I pray God will heal your heart in Jesus' name. When we learn to forgive, we have learned to take the first step towards making peace. Now, number 2 will be reaching out. You want to start making peace, you will learn to reach out. You want to wait till they come, then you accept it. It means you just love peace, you are not yet a peacemaker. If he comes, I will forgive him. But 2 years after he hasn't come. You know what I found out? And I found this that way when I was in school. Not everybody is a peace lover. And not everybody who knows they offended you will come back to you to seek peace. And not everybody even knows that they have offended you. Husband and wives, you need this a lot in your life. Not to bottle things up. When we don't love peace and we don't desire to be peacemakers, we can be violent. I read this morning a story sent to me on WhatsApp. This woman came home very late this day. And guess what? She didn't reach out. Guess what? To worsen everything, her phone wasn't going. The husband tried and tried and tried, and the phone wasn't going through. The husband just waited in the living room. Where's my wife? Of course, as a husband, he was worried, right? But guess what? The woman walked in. She walked in smiling. She walked in laughing. I think the husband, the devil must have been speaking to his head. She's even laughing. She's even not remorseful about what she has done. And where are you coming from? At this time of the day. The woman was like, honey, if you know what, don't honey me. I just asked you, where are you coming from at this time? I've tried reaching you, blah, blah, blah. And the woman was like, please listen to me, hear me out. Do you realize that there was no food in this house? And really that day there was no food. She didn't prepare any food. So the man was hungry. And if hungry meets with anger inside you, just when the woman was trying to, he stood up. And when he stood up, he lifted his hand and woes her. Well, she fell to the floor and passed out. He didn't know she had passed out. Don't pretend there as if, get up. And he noticed that the woman wasn't moving. So, he went close to her, saw that the woman wasn't moving. He became troubled. He rushed for the key, carried her. The key fell from his hand because by now he was shaking, visibly shaking. Eventually, he managed to get her to the hospital. When the nurses looked at her, it was an emergency. They quickly rushed her to the ICU. After some minutes, the doctor came out. I'm saying, Mr. Femi, that was what the story called his name. What happened? A few minutes ago, your wife was here. She brought your mom, who was seriously sick. And if she had delayed 10 minutes, we would have lost your mom. What happened between then and now? By this time, on hearing this, the man began to shed serious tears. He said, what of my wife? The doctor said, your mother made it. Eventually, not little thanks to your wife's quick intervention. What about my wife? The doctor said, unfortunately, we lost her. The man was broken. He cried like a baby. Why is this story relevant? I found out that if you have not found peace and decided to live in peace, every little opportunity will trigger violence inside you. What happened that day did not require him beating his wife. You know, in my almost 20 years of marriage, I've never been tempted, not tempted to raise my hand against my wife. I've never shouted at her. Why? Before I got married, I sat down. I said to myself, come, you can never do this against a woman. You can never do this against your wife. For me, it was so serious that I said, Lord, before I beat my wife, take me home. So that kind of commitment comes to my mind regularly, that you can't beat this woman. No. The worst that can happen is that I'm so angry, I will drive out of the house. And I've driven out before. I was so angry, I just drove out. That's the maximum of my anger, so that they don't take me home. Somebody said, Pastor, it's because you are gentle. If you know my temperament, my violence cannot be easily controlled. It's a lie. Whenever you say to yourself, because of my temperament, it's not so. It's just that you lack self-discipline and you lack respect for people. And you only do it when you think you can handle the person. So we're talking about peacemaking, and I said, you need to be willing to reach out. All these examples I've given you, either were people who were not willing to reach out, or people who were not truthful to themselves about the situation. See, if you're going to be a peacemaker, you have to be able to say sorry even when you feel you are right.